we heard from companies today that were sort of happy, welcoming this agreement as sort of the least bad outcome. But just because it's not the worst case scenario doesn't mean it's a good outcome, right? 15% coming off zero. This is going to still be crippling for all sorts of businesses. And again, this notion that businesses are just going to eat the cost, they're not. Businesses don't report to the president of the United States. They don't want to be on his bad side. They don't want to be his enemy. But at the end of the day, they have to satisfy their shareholders, their customers, their employees, not the U.S. government. And they're going to pass these costs down. They have to.
Yeah, I think that there's some serious grading on a curve here. I don't know what kind of victory it is to declare a 15% tax on a lot of things that American companies and American consumers buy. I think that that's a great victory. It's going to raise costs for wine, for food products, for all sorts of auto parts and auto components. A lot of things that Americans rely on are going to be more expensive because of this deal. And as was just laid out, the benefits that we got from it are very ephemeral. And in fact, already today, just hours after the deal was announced, you had sources in Europe coming out and saying, some of those promises we made about investment, we're not really going to be able to do any of that anyway. We're not going to be able to buy that much energy anyway. That's all kind of fluff, like a lot of things that Trump tries to execute on. The thing, though, that we have to remember, I want to put this together with the one big beautiful bill that just passed, because what we are seeing is a dramatic change in the overall way that the United States gets revenue. Remember, that bill made huge tax cuts for very, very wealthy people. It provided additional tax cuts for corporations. And then on the flip side, we are trying to recoup some of that money through tariffs that are paid by importers, but that eventually get passed along to working class families who are buying stuff at the grocery store, buying gas at the pump, buying a new car at the car lot. So we've really turned our tax code upside down in just a matter of months and made it a lot less progressive.
So if we're not going to be bringing in billions and billions of dollars from tariffs, or even if we are, Brendan, let's just say companies eat those costs, right? And they don't pass them on to the consumer. Those companies are not going to have money to grow, to reinvest. And that's going to have adverse reaction when it comes to our economy growing.
Yeah. And first of all, the point of a tariff is to raise the price. We're caught in this absurd situation where we're saying we want tariffs because America doesn't build anything we need to export. Okay. But if we're also saying companies are going to eat those costs, that means prices aren't going to go up. Which then doesn't do anything to cause people to switch to things produced here domestically. So there's like a fundamental incoherence there. But to your point, we don't yet really know how much this is going to cost. And one of the reasons why we don't know how much this is going to cost is that as the tariff rate went up and down earlier this year, companies raced to buy as much as they could. And so they ran inventories up. These were numbers that we could see in the quarterly GDP report. So we don't yet know what's going to happen when they run the inventories down and they aren't able to buy again. Or they have to buy again at a higher price. We don't yet know whether they're going to eat those costs or whether somebody's going to do it. And you're right. Either the company's going to have to eat the costs and they're going to have less to invest, or you and I are going to eat the costs when we buy something European. Listen, if the tariff doesn't raise costs, there's no point.
And we're talking big companies. Small companies, they were not able to front load inventories. They're just trying to figure this out day by day and try to figure out what is Trump doing on the tariffs, hoping and praying he won't go through with it. Bharat and Brendan, thank you for joining us tonight. We were